Hey there, Rick Sage, recording at the Rimrock Studios in Bishop, California. Welcome to Season 2 of the Outdoor Biz podcast, where I speak with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz and share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks, and ideas you can use to take your career or business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. I've used Audible for many years now. I'm on the road a lot, and Audible allows me to enjoy the great books I discover or are recommended by friends. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/theoutdoorbizpodcast. There are over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Start your 30-day free trial with Audible today. It was great to catch up with my outdoor bud and longtime outdoor sales rep, Larry Harrison, on the show today. Larry tells us how he got started in the biz, his experiences with JanSport, wilderness experience, outdoor retailer, and more, and offers some sage advice for each of us. Enjoy. Larry, welcome to the show.
Why, thanks, Rick. Happy to be here.
Great to speak with you this morning. Hope everything's going well in your world today. You guys are getting busy for the trade show, I'll bet.
It is absurd, Rick. You know what, with the purchase of the SIA Snow Show, the formulation of 3 shows each year,
right?
It's really just nonstop.
I can imagine. Yeah, just go. 3 shows, and so what happens with the snow show portion of it in the summer? Those guys come back, or they don't show up? It gives us more outdoor room. Get replaced by paddle sports, I'll bet.
You know, I guess the best way to describe it is if you look. First of all, I guess I should point out that I work for Outdoor Retail. I'm the brand development director, and as such, my purview is listening and making sure that our brand meets the needs of the community. And so very exciting, you know.
Yeah.
At the end of a long career in the outdoor business, to be able to have an effect on something that I find so important,
right?
Just really fulfills me.
Yeah, and you've been involved since the very first one. I mean, you know, you've had a long career.
Yes.
It's great. Yeah.
I have that strange stigma, I think, of
connection. Let's call it a connection.
Yes, good. I'll take connection. I'm glad it's not a stigmata.
Yeah, right.
You know, the first one only shopped, but you know, because you're a rep, you become so heavily involved in shows, and the desire to golly, I hate to say it, but make it easier. You know, could I attend one show instead of 16?
Right.
You know, maybe not one, but maybe less. And so, you know.
Well, you guys have done a great job over the years. I think it's been a great, not only a great trade show, but a great gathering of the tribe, which is kind of what I love about it these days, since I'm not directly connected other than the podcast. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the forgotten components of the show, is that tribal nature.
Yeah.
That we each need that refresh when we walk in that door, and we're just excited about our connection to this joy-filled industry.
Right.
And when I walk in that door, I'm stunned at first. When I walk in, I can't imagine what it's like for somebody who didn't. Heck, I grew up in this industry. Really,
exactly, you know? Right.
I was a college kid. I was in the Army. I was a fledgling journalist, and then I was a traveling foot and bam in the outdoor business. And So I can't imagine what it would be like walking in that first time. I remember when I walked into the ski show with Steve Barker, and it was maybe about 75,
Mm.
whenever the first ski show was in Las Vegas.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my Lord, this is quite an affair, and I was so excited to be there, and that's one thing I hope the show is for new people, that it just excites them and wants them to be in the industry.
Yeah, I think it does. I've had the fortunate pleasure of bringing a few brands to the show for the first time, and they're just in awe. I mean, not only the overwhelming sight of all the brands and booths and people, but the, like you say, the tribal nature of it and the fun and the happiness. It's awesome. Yeah, great job.
And that is expensive. There's no
Yes, it
doubt.
is, right.
But I think the important thing is that when I first started in the business, we did have places to kind of gather. We had the NSGA show in Chicago. We
Right.
had the ski show in Las Vegas, and Doris Taplinger's snow show at a bit later date.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who remembers that old snow show, it was heavily controlled by Doris, and she would be speaking over the PA system every 10 minutes at great volume, normally chastising us about something. It was amusing. I was even one time called to the office.
Uh-oh. The
and
principal's office.
A funny thing.
Yeah.
But still, it was exciting to get together, but we never got to get that national solidarity. Really, it was always, people felt like they were in the Northwest silo,
Mm-hmm.
or the Northeast silo, or
Right.
the Midwest silo. They were in the San Francisco of the outdoors. They were in the Kelty Wilderness Experience LA portion.
Right.
They were in the southeast portion of it, and there was no real interconnectedness, and so it made it harder to really create a brand. But it was funny. One thing that happened is I was the California boy, and all of the guys from the Midwest, the Southeast, they would look at what was successful for us, and then they would get those lines.
Oh, right.
And they would be able to write it for 3 years after it already started to go down in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing followed later on for the surf business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting. So tell us where your passion for the outdoors comes from. How did you get involved in all this in the very beginning when Larry was a young lad?
Yes. Well, it's really funny. I had heard you ask this to friends,
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Schlesinger, Steve Barker, etc. And I had to take some time and give it a little thought, but I figured the best answer to that is I was a twin.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
We were born wild dogs in a little Illinois town, and on one side of our house was a big park, and then behind was a forest, and then after the forest there was a canal. So,
wow, you had a great playground.
Oh, did we ever have a playground? Then on the other side of the canal was all farmland, and this was for my first 9 years. Up the street was the largest hill in Rock Falls and Sterling. We called it Death Hill, and so my twin brother and our friends, we just terrorized that area. And
I can imagine.
So climbing trees, diving into water, riding down steep embankments and all was just part of the way we grew up.
Right.
Um, and then in so long ago uh, that I probably shouldn't even tell you the date, but
That's up to you.
in 1959. No, we should all be proud of our age.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Never shirk the duty of representing their age, because there's always somebody younger than you
Mm-hmm.
that wonders what it's like to be that age,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they need something to model themselves after.
Right. Right.
And I always copied the people who were older than me.
And we've all, no matter
Like,
what our age, we've all lived through a unique period in history because it's all been unique. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, then we moved to California, and I thought, did I ever score what, huh?
Right.
And we moved to San Diego,
Oh, wow.
and I told my mother after seeing some kids surfing that I want to surf, and she said, "No way! You hardly know how to swim."
Oh, yeah.
And so I had to swim back and forth 3 times at De Anza Cove.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you know De Anza Cove.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No biggie, but still, it's a long way back and forth, back and forth, back and
Right.
forth.
Right.
And by the end of summer, I'd done that, and I was able to take up surfing.
Nice.
And like most of my grand endeavors in sport, I never really became great, but I
Mm-hmm.
really had a great time. I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was never a great climber. I was never, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you participate in the activity, but yeah, it's a lot of us.
I,
That's true for a lot of us in a lot of activities. We never rise to the
yep.
cream of the crop, but boy, we have a fun time.
But one of the joys of being in our business, of course, is that we've been able to be around those people, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, we've been around some phenomenal folks. Yeah. So, what was your first job in the outdoor biz? Was it as a sales rep, or did you work a little retail?
Well, my first job before a sales rep or a retail was at the Mountain People in Idlewild, California,
Oh.
basically a rock shop.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Barker had started it, owned it. He had gotten together uh, investment and had this fine little store. And heck, um, my training was as a journalist,
Mm.
and I was I was editor of the junior high paper, the high school paper.
Oh.
Went to the University of Missouri. Was an Army journalist later on.
Hmm.
They were kind enough to invite me to travel with them, the Army,
Oh, yeah.
and then after that, lived in a school bus, traveling poet, which
Wow.
was certainly an interesting way to make a very bad living. But I could at least get fuel to move on to the next college
That's
town.
great. Yeah.
And then, of all things, my girlfriend of the time said, "Why don't we stop for a while?"
Hmm.
Uh, and I said, "Sure." And I ended up getting a job as the quality control director at a paper box company.
Oh, wow.
And
Interesting.
um,
In
I don't
San
know if you're
Diego?
interested in of all places, Garden Grove, because I moved to Huntington Beach,
Oh, okay. Makes
and
sense.
I
Yeah.
thought, I could surf and have some fun,
Right.
and it was a new era of surfing. While I was in the Army, shortboards became a thing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so I went from a 10-foot Challenger to a 6 foot 3 inch Russell,
Hmm.
and that was an interesting change. But so decided to get a job and drove the school bus around and saw this big building in Garden Grove, and on the side of the building it said jobs available. I went, oh, great. They have jobs. I'm going to go in there.
There you go.
And because that's what we want is a job, right?
Yeah, yeah. They got them. Let's go get one.
So went in and they said, well, a restacker. We have a restacker. You take these large sheets of combination paperboard, which is like a thick cardboard kind of thing, and you fan them out and allow air to go between the sheets so they run through the press efficiently. And I thought, well, what else? That didn't sound like much fun. And I would keep asking her, this woman, what else do you have? And finally she says, well, the only other job we have is quality control director, and that's an executive position, and I don't think that's appropriate for you. And I'm this guy standing there, and I've got these little glasses, and my hair's kind of long now, and I have a smock shirt on with embroidery across the front, and beads, and
surfer dude.
Well, just hippie dude.
Hippie dude. All right.
And,
yeah.
Or emerging hippie dude, because remember, I had been in the Army.
Oh, right.
Just some year before.
Yeah.
And so just as the president of the company walked by, I said, well, I think that job's for me. And he looked at me and looked me up and down and said, what's a densitometer? And I've always been a fan of words, and so densitometer made perfect sense to me. I said, well, a densitometer measures film thickness, and so for you, it could tell you the uniformity of a press run. So your color would be correct throughout the press run. And he goes, let's talk.
Nice.
So I got this cool job, and much higher paying than I would have gotten. And then I drove up to Idlewild, and I saw a store, and I wanted to get some new boots. And I walk in, and there's Steve Barker, and immediately just thought this guy was the bee's knees. He was just a special person. And so, but he bilks me. He really rips me and made me pay $39 for a pair of Loa Scouts.
Wow.
Now, if they made Loa Scouts the way they used to back then, that would probably be a $300 boot.
Right.
It was $39. But I had seen them at $34.95, on sale. But I paid $39 and loved them, and just developed a great relationship. Took climbing classes with some of the staff there, and started hanging out. I started off where I was at Consolidated Eureka for 4 days a week. Well, first of all, 5, and then 4. And then when I asked them if I could work a 3-day week, it became apparent that I should probably just bail and go to the mountains. And so I ended up in Idlewild, and but I had gotten a tax return, and
so you're flush.
Big money. So I became an investor in the mountain people.
Okay.
And we eventually had
Hello, I lost you.
Hi.
Oh, that was weird.
We eventually had a mountaineering school. We had a store, and we also started manufacturing packs.
Right.
And this is how I became a rep.
Gotcha. Okay.
No one of my era ever wanted to sell a thing. That was the worst thing you could possibly do.
Huh.
I remember years later talking to a buddy of mine, and I was stating just this, that, nobody wanted to be a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Oh, really? I majored in sales in college." And we all thought that was kind of funny. But
Why was that? Was it
so
frowned upon, or what do you think the reasoning was for that?
who wanted to sell things? That was what it was. It
Mm.
was just, um, I don't know. We thought we were intellectuals. So
Gotcha.
why would we sell? We should be people of ideas, right?
Right. The Jack Kerouacs
And
of the world, gonna follow in those
exactly
footsteps. Yeah.
right. And anyway, someone in there, someone who probably didn't like me, uh, said, "Well, Larry, you've done a lot of interviews. You know how to talk to people. You should be the rep." And of course, no one else wanted to be the rep, and so
Mm-hmm.
I became the rep.
There you go.
And um, the one thing I remember about that was I get a sample line together, and I go driving off in my Jeep truck, and I go to 19 stores.
And there was a lot of miles in between those 19 stores back then, I'll bet.
Well, actually, that was California.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but
and
that was probably
and
all the way up to San Luis and the Bay Area and all.
no, indeed. But
Yeah.
I opened 17 of the 19,
Wow.
and I still brag about that to this day.
Yeah, that's great. That's a
And
great
golly,
ratio.
that's been a long time ago.
Yeah. Good
So
batting average,
uh,
yeah.
I became a rep.
That's interesting. So, and you were one of the first reps, pioneering reps in the early days. What was that like? I mean, were you the only guy on the road, or were there a couple other guys?
Well, I got to dispel that rumor about pioneering reps.
Okay.
You know, uh,
You were making it up
like
as
I
you
was
went.
getting, well, yeah, oh no, we were definitely making it up. But,
Yeah.
you know, um, who was it? Was it Mark Twain who said, all you need to succeed in life is ignorance
Mm.
and self confidence?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And I had both of those in spades, and so that worked out well. But I could also copy some really uh, unbelievably strong individuals. I think the one that pops to mind the most, of course, and anyone who was a rep at that time would say it, and that's a guy, Phil Orn.
Yep. Yeah, he was,
And
yeah.
Phil was the North Face rep in those days.
Okay.
And so I had the good fortune to compete against him for many years, and
Mm.
so it really meant that I always had to find a different way of doing things. I can't say better really, but I can say that I would try to do things differently and build on what he did. So
Right.
but it was very interesting. You know, we traveled for long periods of time. I would go out for a month at a time, and I would be in Monterey, and I would run out of money, and I would have to wait until money could be wired to me.
Right.
We didn't have even credit cards.
Right.
It was just so different, and you had to call in orders, and it was kind of like those old days where you see the reporters calling in their uh, their important story over the phone.
Oh, payphone.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'd like 13 sleeping bags, stop. 10 carabiners, stop.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it was very different. And one thing I decided that was really important was to pay attention to the individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I always felt that Justice Steve Barker was kind to everybody, and I was too arrogant as a young man to be as kind as Steve, but I finally grew to the point where I was less arrogant.
Mm.
But
I can relate to that.
you exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
We all fail ourselves miserably in our youth, and um, we certainly are mostly wine-like, I think.
yeah, yeah.
But
No, that's good.
I had a lot of people to learn from.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and you
you know,
spent
you
time with a lot of different brands. I mean, you're Wilderness Experience, Eagle Creek, obviously, JanSport.
Yep,
Yeah. What was
yeah.
what? You have a couple of memorable moments with each of those brands, or
Well,
maybe some stand out more than others. I know there's a lot of memorable moments with JanSport and Wildy, I'm sure.
I think that that all, and I if you think about it from a rep perspective, every rep loves a great ride. You
Yeah.
know, um, uh, in the late '80s, as Body Glove was going off, and it was the most popular brand possible at the time. Every woman had to have a Body Glove swimsuit, and every guy wanted to have one of these uh, lousy tank tops with prints all over it.
Right.
We could sell things as fast as we could make them, and everybody wanted to. My rep group, everybody wanted to just go out and sell Body Glove, and I'd always say, guys, sell JanSport. You know, it was that constant in our lives, that
Yeah. Yeah.
love of the outdoors, and um, so I think that for me, while I loved the ride, it was about people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Eagle Creek, golly,
Hmm.
that came after Mountain People, also started by Stephen Nona Barker, and um, Steve is the cunning of the band, and
Hmm.
Nona as the designer of early products, or had the ability to put ideas into an actual product, which
Right. Right.
not everybody has that skill, and so that was great,
Yeah.
and so just working with them,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then Ricky Schlesinger uh, was with them. I
Hmm.
think you interviewed Ricky just recently.
Yeah, he was on a couple shows ago. I think 90, show 90, episode 90. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, well, Ricky and I introduced Steve to Ricky,
Oh, okay.
and I always have one story that's worth telling about Ricky, and this is why your memories of brands are inexplicably mixed with the people.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. That's.
We went to call on with a line called Coming Attractions.
Hmm.
This is maybe 76 or something.
Yeah, Ricky talked about that on the episode with Neil Caplow and the whole T-shirt thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah.
And so Ricky was the sales manager. And so he's coming out to travel with his Southern California guy. And we're going into a really important account. We walk in, and I go into this hangar dance. I am so good at my presentation that it's like theater. This is somebody doing Macbeth in my view,
Right.
and I don't make the sale.
Oh, in front of the
And
sales manager. Oops.
in front of the sales manager, and we walk out, and he looks at me. Can I cuss?
Sure.
And he goes, "Do you ever fucking listen to anybody?" And I go, "Oh." And I saw exactly what he was saying. I did not listen.
Uh,
And by not listening. I didn't know what the customer needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I still view it as the most important lesson I ever learned in 40 years of being a rep.
That's a pretty critical one. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. What?
And well taught by Ricky.
Yeah. Just cut right to the chase. That was great.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then I went to Wilderness Experience and there worked with the Thompson brothers.
Right.
That was an absolute a joy too. And I think that one thing I'd love to say to people who want to be reps or people who are reps
Mm-hmm.
is something I've tried to pass on to folks is that in truth, there's only one thing you know as a rep, and that is you will be fired.
That's right.
So never let it get you down. Move on, be strong, get her done somewhere else.
Yeah.
And there's so many reasons why you can be fired, and half of the time they have no relation to your performance.
Yeah, and a lot of times you never see it coming. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's good advice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I got to work with the Thompson brothers, and that was really unique. Greg and I were together at Adidas Outdoor.
Right.
We started that program.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Thompson and I were partners for 10 years in the sales agency. And
right.
so then you look at JanSport, and I think that that was a very special time.
Yeah, all those brands were. Yeah,
I spent that with Skip.
Yeah,
Jan. That was really exciting. We had a great president, Paul Delory.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Felt that fun was an important part of the workplace, and that really resonated with me because my company's name was Earth Games, and our motto from about 1978 until 2008 was always the business of fun. And so we really related. But Todd Spoleto.
Oh yeah,
Todd was the president of the North Face. Now he's at Wolverine.
Right.
Brilliant guy.
Right.
He was there. Mike Bross. He's the European head of PMI now. Another really brilliant, caring individual.
You guys had a great team there. A lot of great guys that moved on to do other.
We had a great
things.
team.
Yeah.
I that when we look at what were the great rep teams of the outdoor business, certainly the JanSport crew I was on has to qualify as one.
Yeah.
And that Wilderness Experience crew, out of nothing, we made this magnificent brand that went across all categories. And a good example is Sport Chalet. We were the #1 selling friend pack.
Right. Yeah.
We were the #2 selling sleeping bag.
Right.
There was no reason for that except that people really understood the tale we were telling.
Yeah. You guys did a good job. Yeah.
And it really worked. But then I also worked with a guy named Chris Speak.
Yep.
And do you know Chris?
Oh yeah.
He's still at JanSport.
Yeah. Chris and I worked together at Eagle Creek, and now he's at JanSport. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I got to get him on the show.
That's right.
All these guys, Chris and Todd, and yeah.
Yes, you need to get them all on the show. But Chris and I had a particularly close relationship. One thing that happened is that in my territory, like Oshman's moved to Texas.
Right.
Other companies were going out of business in the California marketplace, and there were all these dead specialty stores out here, and I needed to find a place to sell product.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started taking packs to teen stores.
Oh, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was a place called Miller's Outpost out here.
Yeah, remember that? Right.
And so then they became Anchor Blue.
Yeah, that was the first coming of Anchor Blue and Old Navy, Miller's Outpost.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was, but predates all that.
Right,
and
right.
So I went to sell them backpacks, and they go, "Well, why would I want to buy backpacks that are navy, forest, and black?" And I want a pink backpack. And Chris and I went to the company, and they go, "Well, we don't make pink backpacks, for God's sake." And so I went back to them, and I said, "How many will you buy?"
Yeah.
And they said, "How about 10,000?" And we went back, and they made 10,000 backpacks.
Yeah. And now look at them. Holy cow, they've come a long way. Yeah.
And now all backpacks,
right,
our colors, our prints,
yeah.
our foils, our strange fabrics, are so much more, especially in that younger marketplace.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But all that's been adopted to the outdoor marketplace as well.
Oh yeah.
And we even went back and copied some of Skip's old American flag,
yep.
and
yep.
and flowered backpacks of many years before.
Yeah, the Heritage line.
Years.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
so now you're with Outdoor Retail. You've got all this history behind you. What's your perspective on how things have changed from a business point of view? It feels like we've adapted and got a little more sophisticated. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, certainly we got more sophisticated, but I think a lot of people became sophisticated beyond their ability to perform.
Interesting.
Why don't we do our job really well?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of see specialty recovering, big box crumbling a bit.
Yeah.
We've already seen that, of course. But I don't see, actually, I guess I don't see specialty recovering. I see good specialty recovering.
There you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Somebody that has business fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you the number of times I talk to somebody and they don't know simple retail math.
Yeah, right.
Learn your trade.
Yeah, learn your numbers, yeah.
Know what your business. Do it better than anybody around you.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, if you do something good, nobody cares. They may go, good on you. You did something good.
Yeah.
But you have to do it regularly. You have to do good. You have to perform at a high level over a long period of time for people to notice.
Yeah. Consistently.
Especially.
Right.
Yes. As a rep, there may be things that I should have done that I didn't do, and I can get by without it. But consumers, they're unforgiving of attitude.
Right.
They're unforgiving of sloppy stores. They're unforgiving of bad selections.
Yeah.
And they like a nice inventory.
Yeah. And it seems like specialty is getting back to some of those basics. Not all of them, but some of them.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think they are.
Yeah.
But I go into outdoor stores. I go into surf shops.
Oh my God.
Go into a surf shop. You're an old guy.
Yeah.
And you go in and there's some kid, and all you want to do is buy a bar of wax. And he gives you attitude.
Right.
Well, do you think I'm going to go back and buy my wardrobe there?
Right.
Absolutely.
Probably not going to go back and buy wax there either. You're going to go somewhere else. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Since I probably wouldn't buy my wardrobe there anyway. But I think that this is a good time for people to be the best they can be.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
There's a lot of
what that means.
opportunity to separate yourself from the pack right now. A lot of opportunity. I mean, and
Yes.
it's not going to take that much to move you up to the next rung either, I don't think.
I think that there's some trends going on that I
Hmm.
find very interesting, led by some really smart people. Um, I think I would have to say Colin Moynihan.
Oh yeah,
Um,
great guy. He's been on the show too. He
uh,
was back in episode 60 something, I think. Yeah, yeah, love
okay,
that guy. Yeah, he's doing great things.
but I love what they're doing, going out and buying some of the specialty stores
Yeah,
and maybe give them ability to have more depth in inventory,
right.
maybe give them the ability to expand to some new categories, maybe give them the ability to provide some uh, experiences for the consumer in their store that maybe they hadn't thought of before.
Right, right. No, that's a good observation. Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's developing a much stronger e-commerce approach.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, they're doing a better
Um,
job of blending it, right? They're getting that true omni-channel approach to their business. And I forget I read somewhere the other day where if you look at some of the brands and retailers that are succeeding, it's the ones that are doing that well. They don't have anything, too many eggs in one basket or the other. They're really driving that omni-channel business, and that's what's working.
yeah, but then you meet a guy like Terry Lee, um, and you know the guy really has it going on.
Hmm.
Um, his presence, um, online is so strong,
Yeah.
and he has the ability to, oh golly, how should I describe this? Create such an expansive and compelling assortment at Deer Co-op,
Right.
which is his online presence and his Amazon presence.
Right.
That and he's been able to work with manufacturers
Yeah. Hmm.
to tell them, look, you need to understand that um, pricing needs to be controlled. That um, you need to know who's selling your product,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
most manufacturers just simply do not understand who's selling their product.
Right, right. Yeah, there's always
So
there's the one-offs. There's the one-off couple of handful of retail shops too that are doing well and don't have much online presence. So there are those, but
yes,
they're unique. Yeah.
and because it's exciting to go in their store
Right.
and you
Exactly.
want to buy product
Yeah.
and they have the product that you want when you
Yeah.
want it.
Yeah. And the store looks great. The staff is helpful. All those things. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And so what's your perspective on the next 3 to 5 years? You think we're going to continue down this path? Going to see more shakeout? You think it's going to stabilize? What are you thinking about that?
Well, I think that um, there's a whole lot of older owners of specialty
Mm-hmm.
who are looking to change
Yep.
this in a particular fashion for a long time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Lord knows they've changed and they've become better and
Right.
they have an online presence, um, but there will be turnover,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and with turnover will become change. He
Like
will.
Dave Baker did with Summit Hut and James up at Eastside Sports. Yeah, exactly.
I think those are all good examples of uh, the people who followed made changes that the original might not have done,
Right.
but indeed may have. And but the important thing is that in this case, change will be good because it will mean a more exciting story.
Right. Right. So, do you have any suggestions or advice for folks wanting to get into the biz or grow their career if they're already in the biz?
Well, back to Mark Twain. You know, you need two things: ignorance and confidence.
There you go.
And you know, I think that a belief in yourself. Um, you know, we went out in the outdoors as youth, and I guess that it instilled some confidence that the outdoors was my playground.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into the outdoor business. Well, I had part of it done. You know, I had
Yeah.
to learn business,
Mm-hmm.
but I found words fun. Um, so communicating is so critical,
Right.
but confidence, that's really important. And I think that uh, when I started in this business, we were a bunch of men in scratchy plaid shirts, and now we have. A, do we have the diversity that we want to have? Absolutely not.
Right.
Are we making progress? Yes, we are making progress, but we are making it slowly.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be great to see it happen more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that? Personal responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, how many people have you taken out?
Right.
How many people of color? How many women, etc.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you want this person to be in the outdoors, give them the outdoor experience first.
Right. Yeah, give them the same experience we had. Exactly. That's good advice. Yeah, I like that.
And the sooner the better in someone's life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, I think that so my view of the next 3 to 5 years is that if we take responsibility for our store being more exciting, if we take responsibility as reps for uh, getting the work done more effectively for our retailers so they can concentrate on their store,
Mm-hmm.
we will be doing them a favor. If, as a manufacturer, um, we think about how our products can be the most unique they can be instead of just trying to put products at every price point, we will be better manufacturers. Bring something new, not just a new price point. Um, and then, as people, if we all bring someone into the outdoors, I've always felt that as a seller of products,
Mm-hmm.
as a manufacturer of products, as a retailer of product, we are creating a um, a voter,
Mm-hmm.
a voter that works to maintain the beauty of wildlands. You're creating a constituency,
Right.
and so um, that's what I would like to see the next 3 to 5 years being, where every single segment of our business looks to improve what they're doing today and take personal responsibility for getting more people out there.
Yeah, I like that. That's great. That's great advice. Yep, we need a lot of that. Well, we're getting there. Like you said, we're doing things better. We could always do them even better, but we're getting there.
That's all we can ask, though,
Yeah,
is
keep improving. Yeah,
yeah, you're doing it fine,
yeah,
but let's do it better.
right.
You know, I think the best example of what I said was stop thinking about having products at every price point. Um,
Right.
spend your time instead of having $5 increases in price point.
Right.
Think about unique product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I like the first thing you said was take responsibility. I think each one of us, whether it's for the store, as a rep for doing things effectively so that the store owner can mind his store, for the brands creating new innovative things, not just fill another price point and get some more volume, and then also bringing someone outdoors. That's responsibility for all that drives the bus, and that's great advice. Yeah, I could see that on a T-shirt.
Yes. Yes. And, I bring someone into the outdoors.
Yeah.
They're going to be in my business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're going to care about it. That's right. They're going to be concerned about it. Right. Exactly.
We have people right here at Outdoor Retailer who came in and they're marvelous marketing people. And they come in and they fall in love with the outdoors.
Right.
And, maybe they weren't an outdoors person when they came, but they are certainly an outdoors person now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
That's really important.
That's great. Yeah. And do you have any daily routines you use to keep your sanity? Meditate? Walk the dog?
Walking the dog is that makes my dog happy. And happy dog, happy owner.
That's right. That's good.
It's my wife and I think that a happy dog is hold it against a happy dog that there's hair everywhere. If I had an unhappy dog, that would really bug me.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's hairballs.
Happy dog, happy life for a lot of folks.
But for me, I think that the most important thing is meditate, leave the day behind,
mm-hmm.
and move on into slumberland.
There you go.
So, breathing, clearing my mind, absolutely critical.
I like that. And do you have any favorite books, or do you give books as gifts very frequently?
Books are a funny thing. I'm a Kindle guy.
Yeah. I use Audible a lot. Yeah.
I used to have I'm not in the car enough to do Audible.
Right. Yeah.
So I
yeah.
read on a Kindle. Yeah. I used to be all the time.
Yeah.
In a car, and then I had books on tape.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I have a number of books that I've read, fairly recently that I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
I just met Tracy Ross, a writer in the outdoor business,
okay.
and learned that she had written a book, and so I read her Source of All Things, a memoir by Tracy, and I thought that you take the harshest events in a young woman's life, and she finds it within herself to forgive, to still use it as an advisory, something that informs her life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's a beautiful tale, yet an ugly tale.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that. But one of the books I've enjoyed most lately, and it's really a stupid book in truth. It's called The Long Haul, and it's a trucker's tale of life on the road, by a guy named Finn Murphy. And what's unique about this book is I was a rep for years on the road, and my daddy was a truck driver.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah.
So I always felt there was an affinity between the truck driver and the rep because of that life on the road. And so Murphy's book is just about his time on the road as, interestingly, a mover.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Executive moving. So he's
wow.
he's the big time guy with the great big truck.
Yeah.
And I did not know that they were reviled out there, that moving trucks are kind of the lowest level of truckers.
Oh, interesting, because they're not hauling goods. And that's that.
Right.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
so really, really kind of a fascinating one. And then another one, have you been in Mississippi much?
A little bit, a couple times, not much.
Well, the Delta's a funny looking place, and,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
from my California eye, and so there's a great book which describes it well, called "Dispatches from Pluto: Lost and Found in the Mississippi Delta."
Oh, okay.
Really fun, and I think though that there's a couple of books that I would really recommend to your readership.
Okay.
One is The Broom of God, a novel of Patagonia by John Bragg.
The broom, as in sweeping broom?
The Broom of God.
Okay, yeah.
Imagine God's broom sweeping across.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Sweeping across Patagonia, but it's actually a wind. But anyway, John's an excellent writer. I have to say he's a better climber than he is a writer. But he's a person that I've long admired for his intelligence,
okay,
his
cool.
worldview, and Broom of God is a great book. But one that every person who listens to this needs to read is Stories from the Dirt: Indiscretions of an Adventure Junkie.
Oh, I haven't read that. Good.
Written by John Long.
Okay.
And I actually had hoped to, because I knew you would ask something about books.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to actually have it so I could read a passage.
Oh.
And but I can't because I forgot to bring the book.
Gotcha.
But I must tell you, John Long's prose is like a freight train hitting you.
Yeah, he's really good.
He pounds you with verbs. For those people who have read John in his, How to Climb series,
yep, mm-hmm.
his Protection series, and all those kind of things, you may get a feel for it, but you really need to read this to understand how compelling his prose is.
That's good. Well, maybe we'll get you back on one of the Waypoint episodes, and you can read some prose on that. One of our Wednesday drops. That'd be fun.
Oh, that'd be good fun. When Skip came out with his book,
yeah, great book.
I had the good fortune. Skip hated reading.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I did his readings for him, and it was great fun because just to be a further part of the man's life was great for me.
Yeah. Anytime you got to spend with Skip was good time. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then one other book.
Yep.
One other book. Don't stop me.
All right. No, I'm not. Nope.
And it's my retirement book.
Okay.
And it's the Home Distiller's Workbook.
Ah.
Your guide to making moonshine, whiskey, vodka, rum, and so much more.
All right.
By a guy named Jeff King. So I want to learn how to distill.
Have you tried it at all? Have you done any distilling, or you just start from scratch?
No, made beer, made wine.
Yeah.
But no. I really think that would be fun. I love that there's a science of it. It's just really exciting.
Now, can you pull that off in the bathtub of your Sprinter van?
Yeah. Well, you mean my audio studio?
Okay. Today it's an audio studio, right?
Today, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Probably so.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Okay, so it could be mobile. That'd be great. Yeah, just hit on the road and make your booze as you go. I like that. And what about a favorite outdoor gear purchase under $100?
I knew you would ask this too, and so I was able to actually give it some thought. I like things that, like brass doorknobs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I like things that are great to the touch.
Mm-hmm.
And my first suggestion is, anything from GSI Outdoors.
Oh yeah, they make great stuff. Yeah.
I think they do a spectacular job. But they have this Sentoku knife set.
Okay.
And it's these beautiful little knives. They're $29.95. They come in a nice little package, and you can always have a great set of knives. Now, sitting here in my Sprinter van, I don't have to have that set in here,
mm-hmm.
but I have great knives, and this is something that I can just throw in my pack.
Perfect.
And it's really a joy. And
great.
Then look at what MSR has done to stoves.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes I go with something else, but it's hard to beat that little pocket rocket.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I have. Yeah.
And it's so inexpensive. Anybody can have it. You like look at the Whisper Light or something like that.
Yeah,
it can be pretty expensive. And then in homage to Adidas Outdoor, I have to say that so many people give lip service to how much they do for the environment and everything.
Mm-hmm,
and I love that at Adidas we were never allowed to talk about how we minimized environmental impact. We couldn't talk about that. We could just talk about how products were going to make an athlete perform better, help an athlete perform better.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll link to those guys too. Yeah, that's they make great stuff. I had the guys.
Well, let me tell you about the product.
Oh, okay, sorry.
They have.
I thought you were just homage to Adidas. Go for it.
No, they have that CC blade. They have that Parlay collection.
Okay.
Made from products from Ocean Trash.
Oh, right. I've heard of that. Right.
It's a cool shoe. It's $90.
Perfect. Yeah, great.
So
we'll link to that too.
Yep.
And anything you would like to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners as we wrap up here?
I think the biggest thing is believe in yourself, take someone into the outdoors, and you must be politically active. In a tense environment, we can't back down.
Yep.
There's just too much to lose. I just was at Capitol Summit with OIA,
right,
and it was a remarkable couple days. I happened to meet with folks from the Colorado delegation.
Okay.
And it's a group of individuals who really understand the importance of the outdoors in the state, in the souls of their constituency, and just truly a remarkable group. And it inspired me to think that whether Republican or Democrat, we can convince others that our view of a free outdoors, of an outdoors that provides joy for so many, can remain free. And so we need to be politically active to accomplish that.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And it's one of the things that can cross over the aisle too, right? I mean, all people love to participate in the outdoors. That's great. And how can people find you if they want to follow up? What's the email, LinkedIn? What's the best way to reach out to you?
That's probably best. Certainly LinkedIn. I'll give you my information offline.
Okay.
I know you post it, and then let me leave people with one thought. Skip Yowell, founder of JanSport, that the best is barely good enough, and it doesn't matter if you're a retailer, a rep, or a brand. If that's what you bring, then you will succeed.
Yep.
The best is barely good enough.
Well said. Well said. That's a great finishing touch. That's awesome. Well, thanks, Larry. It's been great catching up with you.
Thank you much, sir. And I'll get up there one day.
Well, I'm coming down to your neck of the woods, so I'll come down and have lunch. We'll do it in
good
San Juan Cap or Costa Mesa or something.
I was hoping to get back to doing some turns, but I think that lunch fits my current state of fitness better.
And the turns are dwindling. It's getting pretty hot up there right now. So
I bet. Yeah.
Well, thanks.
I know Katie's been out.
Yeah, she's been out a bunch. Yeah, and Steve was out, I guess, last week too. I saw on Facebook. So yeah, they're still getting after it. Cool. Well, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
You take care, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Larry Harrison. You can catch up with Larry on LinkedIn and by email at larry.harrison@outdoorretailer.com. Harrison is Harrison. You'll find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode 97. Be sure to hit your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. Thanks for listening. Today's podcast is brought to you by WordPress. I've used WordPress to build a number of websites, including Stillwater's Consulting and the Outdoor Biz Podcast. There are a number of themes and plugins available both free and for purchase, enabling you to easily create the custom look and feel you want. If you're starting an online business, publishing a blog, and looking to take your online presence to the next level, visit theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get going today. With simple installation tools and thousands of themes to choose from, you'll be up and running in no time. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get your site launched today. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure and go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Thanks for listening, and until next time, be sure and make time to get outside.